Today I'm joined by Memphis head women's golf coach Jennifer Jordan. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm doing very well. I'm really excited for our conversation today. I think you have a very interesting story,
Thank you.
coaching, playing, and coming back to your alma mater. So I'm very excited for our conversation today.
Me too.
Yes. How has your off season been? Did you get to do much this summer off season? And what does an off season look like for you as a college head coach?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of recruiting. You still
Mhm.
have a lot of, kind of administrative work in the office to do. And you don't necessarily have to stay in the office 24/7 anymore, but a lot of travel with recruiting and figuring out the next steps for sure for the season.
Yeah, I always like to get into the beginning with coaches, how they got started in the game of golf. So how did you personally get into golf? When did you begin playing and what are some of your earliest memories of golfing? Did you play with, a family member or parent, or did you get into the game yourself?
Well, I was fortunate enough to grow up on a golf course. And
Okay.
when I was about 7 or 8, it was just my dad kind of put a club in my hand, and it went from there. I played a lot of different sports, and that was just another one I added in, and I could do it without anybody else. So it kind of stemmed from there and grew. And every moment I had, if I wasn't playing another sport, I'd just walk across the street, be able to play golf. So it was pretty. I was fortunate in that regard for sure.
Did you get to play much, junior golf or high school golf growing up?
Yeah, I actually started my high school team back
Okay.
then. It was a long time ago. You would just kind of choose sports that you wanted to play, and golf was one of the sports you could choose. So I checked the box, and at that point, my biology teacher became my coach, and it was the first time they ever had a golf team there. So, and that was it. I was the only one on it for the
Okay.
first couple of years, and then some others joined in after that.
Interviewing all these coaches, learned that so many of the coaches are back at their alma maters, coaching. I just um interviewed the UAB coach who was spent 5 years at Lipscomb. Now she's back in her second season at her alma mater, UAB. So you're back at your alma mater of Memphis. You were a 4-year student athlete on the Memphis Tigers women's golf team from 94 to 98. Can you describe what it was like to play college golf and represent the Memphis Tigers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm born in Memphis, and I love the city, and I love everything there's about Memphis. And so being able to play for the University of Memphis was huge back then. I think I appreciate it more now than I did when I was that age, just because I was young. But I think it means a lot more being the head coach than I ever thought it would. But yeah, I had a great time playing. It was you know, lucky enough to have a scholarship and pay for my degree and do what I love to do.
And how special is it to be back at your alma mater as the Memphis Tigers head women's golf coach?
Yeah, it's a surreal kind of feeling. It's I mean, if anybody has an opportunity to not just coach but coach where they played, it's something that I don't think anybody could pass up.
So in addition to coaching, you're also a very accomplished player. You played on the Futures Tour, which is, the qualifying tour for the LPGA. It's now known as the Epson Tour. So I want to get into, what was it like to play, some professional golf? What were some of your favorite memories?
Yeah, I mean, I met a lot of people. I think that, we got to play a lot of good golf courses. You got to be competitive. Golf is a sport that you can, I mean, it's just a great sport to be involved in. And so I had a great time playing. Was not good enough to make it past that level, which is totally fine. But I have, there's several coaches that are now girls that are into coaching that are head coaches around the country that I was able to play with and that I still see quite often. So keeping and maintaining those relationships from I think I started playing professional golf in 2002, maybe. So that's 20 years.
Yeah, I went to an Epson Tour event they had here in Connecticut. I volunteered at it for 3 days, and even like I got went to a men's tournament, the RBC Heritage in South Carolina, and it's like 4 or 5 people deep just to watch Patrick Cantlay, Jordan Spieth, and Fitzpatrick in the final group. Then even I went to like the Mizzou at Liberty National, and then I went to the Women's PGA Championship they had here in
Mhm.
New Jersey, and it's still different. Like there's not as many fans. People
Yeah.
were asking me who the players are. They're not as knowledgeable as the players. And then you even go to an Epson Tour event, and some of the players were like, you know, pushing their own push carts. They didn't even have caddies. Some
Yeah.
of the caddies were there just to carry the clubs. They weren't there to like read putts or anything. So it was very
Yeah,
different
it's
to
not
see.
the most glamorous lifestyle. I think the perception
Yeah.
is far different, but I mean, you're out there grinding away, and that's what it's all about. So, I mean, there's a lot of learning to do
Yeah, I
when
think
you're out there.
everyone, the perception is that it's very glamorous to be, be a
Oh,
professional
sure.
golfer, but
Hmm.
it's, a lot of hard work and you're out there, if especially on the Epson tour, you're grinding
Oh,
out,
yeah,
for
it's
your career and all that.
kind of like the music industry.
It's
It's
like,
just, 1% of 1%
hmm,
of the world make it. So
yeah.
it's not a very big percentage.
So going back to your time playing, on the Futures Tour, were there any notable players that you got to compete against that went on to, the LPGA Tour, or are you friends with any of your competitors, or do you keep in contact with anyone from your
Yeah,
playing days?
I mean, there's several out there that are coaches now, that played on the Futures Tour. Some made it to the LPGA. I mean, Janelle Howland, I forgot her married name. She's at Lamar. Um, you've got Lisa Strom. She's at Ohio State. Brandi Jackson, who's a notable recruiter around the country. I mean, there's so many girls, that I played with that are now coaches, that I get to see, which is pretty awesome. Catherine Cusick, or Dugan now, she's at Jacksonville. She played at Alabama and played professionally. I mean, there's several that, and it's pretty cool to see them 20 years later in the coaching world.
So in addition to getting to play some professional golf and being the head coach at Memphis, you've also served as a teaching pro and golf instructor at numerous clubs and courses. Can you describe your time being a teaching pro and golf instructor? And do you still instruct currently at the
Yeah,
moment?
I mean, I was lucky enough to travel a lot of places and help build, or revitalize ladies and junior programs. Um, and that's kind of where I found my calling as a builder. I love to build and grow things, specifically, obviously, golf. And so, yeah, I mean, being a swing coach for 20 something years, it comes in handy. I've met a lot of people through that, which helps me where I am today, which is wonderful. Obviously, I can still provide swing knowledge to the girls that I coach, and they mostly have their own swing coaches, but I'm able to further communicate whatever's been communicated by their coach, and it helps them while they're here.
What do you enjoy most about being a teaching pro and a golf instructor, and what has those professions taught you?
Learning people, maintain relationships, and definitely learn how to read people, because golf can be a humbling sport. So you have to understand where they come from, and you know, um, and kind of work from the inside out. Fundamentals are one thing, but it's also how you handle yourself out there.
Do you take anything from your career as being a teaching pro and golf instructor into your career as a head coach?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's all about the relationships and learning the kids, and understanding how to communicate to them the best way possible to where they're going to receive it in the most, kind of deliberate way, because everybody receives information differently. So it's up to me to try to communicate it to their reception of that information.
I'm always interested with all the coaches that I'm interviewing, how they got into coaching. So for you, did you always know that you wanted to be a college coach, or did it just happen naturally?
It kind of happened. I will say, when this position opened up in 2008, I did
Mhm.
apply for it. And then my friend Beth Harrelson got it, who ultimately brought me back to Memphis for another, um, swing coach position at Miramichi, which is a course that Justin Timberlake owned. And she was the one that wanted me to come on as her volunteer coach, and then later assistant coach, and then obviously backed me 100% for the head coach role. So it ended up kind of happening. I say naturally, but, I think purposefully, which was, I'm lucky enough to have that support.
So you began your coaching career as a volunteer assistant coach in 2018, and then you served as assistant coach for 3 seasons. How did that come about to you being a volunteer assistant coach? Yeah. And what did you learn from being an assistant coach?
I mean, you learn a lot. I mean, the coaching was a little bit different from from the swing coach world, there's a lot of different moving parts. You have a lot of a core group of kids that you are in charge of and learning and trying to build them, and you're trying to communicate to them what you learned throughout the game. And so, you just continue to build and set your goals, and that's what you do year to year, which is great.
So after serving as assistant coach, you were hired as the head women's golf coach prior to last season. How did that come about to you being hired prior to last season, and what does it mean to be hired as the head women's golf coach?
Yeah, I mean, it means the world to me. I mean, I played here; it's my alma mater, and I was serving as an assistant coach and under Beth, and she was backing me 100%. So I went through the whole process, which was grueling. And I was fortunate enough for them to administration to believe in me and allow me to take it over.
So last season was your first as head women's golf coach. Can you recap last season and maybe what you learned as a coach, being your first as head women's golf coach?
Yeah, I mean it's busy. There's again a lot of moving parts, and I did not have an assistant at that time, so I learned that I needed an assistant for sure. And I mean we had a good time. We played well, and everything. You learn in everything that you do, and so doing it alone by yourself is a very difficult thing. It's a very difficult thing,
Yes,
but it worked out, which is great.
so you mentioned needing an assistant, so you hired an assistant for this upcoming season. So Brooke Ferris, the 2020 Memphis graduate, has been hired as your assistant coach. How did that come about to hiring Brooke, and what is Brooke going to bring to the Memphis Tigers golf team as part of your staff?
Yeah, so that came about kind of randomly. She was on a quest to go to medical school, and she was not accepted, I'm sad to say. And so we actually started discussing in March, and I said, "Look, I have an opportunity." And she said, "Okay, I'll do it." And so that's kind of how it happened. And I quite candidly, I think she's actually fallen in love with the position. I think she's really enjoying herself, which is great. I mean, she loves to do, and being so young, I mean she's just graduated, um and she had gotten married in January, so her and her husband were staying here. So I mean that's kind of how that opportunity kind of arose, and he's still in school. And so she loves to do the stuff that's a little bit more time consuming on the administration side, kind of, spreadsheets and things like that. She loves to put together. I give her the information. She puts all the spreadsheets together. She kind of, simply just goes gets in uniforms that are getting logoed. I mean, those little simple things that require, a lot of navigation, if you will. If one person did it, you lose a lot of time during the day to focus on other things. So she's been a huge help, especially when the girls have come back and all of their needs with regard to getting international bank account set up and doing those kind of things that are often overlooked.
And what does it mean to you to now have an assistant coach and also to have, Brooke as part of your staff?
Oh, it's going to be great. I mean, the girls love her. I mean, she has a rapport with them already. They're excited to have her. It was a one of the best moves I've made so far.
So I like to preview with all the coaches that I'm interviewing, preview the upcoming season because, I personally, as a college golf fan, I'm very excited for the upcoming season. So as a coach of the Memphis Tigers, do you have any expectations for the upcoming season for
Oh
yourself as
yes.
a coach or the team, or are you just excited to get started in about under
Well, I
two
mean,
weeks?
yeah, all of the above. I mean, I always have expectations of myself, and generally higher than what I probably need to set them at. I have high expectations for the girls, but I always tell them that my expectations may not be their own. So I need to know what they expect of themselves, and I'll help them get there. And so, but yeah, I expect great things out of them, and I expect them to work hard. I expect them to grind out there, and I expect them to fight until they're done.
Any tournaments that you or your team enjoys playing in each season, and how does your team look heading into the upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, we play I try to keep the ones that we like kind of every year, and so I love going to our first tournament, South Alabama. We have a tendency to play well. Furman, it's a great field. We played well there last year. Arkansas State's just down the road. I'm excited about those. I mean, there's a lot of really good events that we play in that I love the coaches, enjoy the golf course. They have good fields, and so there's not too many that I don't enjoy going to, which is the whole point. So you don't, I guess you can get into some tournaments that may weather could be suspect, but I mean, we have a good schedule that I'm very proud of.
So I definitely describe myself as a golf nerd. I golf at a college golf
Mhm.
course, Great River here. It hosted an Epson Tour event, and Sacred Hearts home course here in Connecticut. So does Memphis have a home course, or do you have several courses that your team
We do
practices
have
at regularly?
Yeah, we do have we have a home course, Ridgeway Country Club. It's about 30 minutes from campus, but we also play Chickasaw Country Club and Memphis Country Club, which are less than a mile or right at a mile from campus. We have our own golf facility that's just across campus. We call it our South Campus. Um, so we're fortunate. We have some great golf courses in the city, and so we're fortunate enough to have privileges at virtually all of them. But we do call Ridgeway Country Club our home course for sure.
And how do you like to structure practices as coach? Are they mostly unstructured with, players being, busy with classes and all that? And how do you structure qualifying for tournaments?
Yeah, the practice is very structured. It's very disciplined. It's a lot of short game. Um, Classes are we've set their classes to where it doesn't interfere with our practice schedule. And qualifying, we're starting qualifying on Friday. So I mean, because we start really soon, there's summer tournaments this year. Are going to play a huge part in their positions for the first event. But we will have at least 3 qualifying rounds before we leave for that event. So to further kind of calculate what they've done this summer to how they're playing now, as they know that I have to take the best team, the 5 players that are playing the best at that time. So
My final question that I like to ask for all coaches is, what is your favorite thing about being head women's golf coach at Memphis, and what makes Memphis such a special place to be at?
yeah, my favorite thing is it's a revolving door of goals. Every year your goals change. You have a new fleet of kids. You have a new fleet of personalities, and it doesn't stop. So you don't get bored, for one. It's a new challenge every single year. Can be a new every single season, which I love a challenge. It keeps me going in the right direction and the forward, and that's what I love. That's what I love about it. Just it doesn't stop. And what was your other question?
Just what makes Memphis such a special place?
Well, I'm from here, so I mean, it's just Memphis loves Memphis. It is a town that if you give it a chance, you will fall in love with it. And it's a very big city, but a small town, if that makes any sense. So there's a lot of 6 degrees of separation here, it seems. You meet somebody that person knows somebody else that you happen to be cousins with. It's just weird. And so, yeah, I mean, I absolutely, I can't say enough about the city. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I really liked the UAB coach's answer yesterday to the question why UAB was such a special place. She said UAB is home for her, which I really liked.
Yeah.
She said that Lipscomb was a very special place for her, but that, being back at UAB, her alma mater, just felt like, being at home for her, which I really
Yeah,
liked that answer.
you can't be coming back to your alma mater.
Yeah.
That's a very good word. She's spot on
Mhm.
that. Mhm.